Hello, everybody. If somebody could just confirm that you can hear me loud and clear, because I've turned off my own speakers, because I'm already speaking into the microphone, and if I got the feedback sound, that would be terrible because it'd be picked up by my microphone as well. Yes, as in you can hear me, or yes, as in something else. Okay, you can hear me. Great. Okay, for all of you who have tuned in, just keep in mind, I think that the delay should be a couple of seconds. We'll do some coding today. Actually, we'll just begin coding the program today, and then we'll finish it up with a few more live sessions because the code base as is now for the chess bot is around 1,000 lines of code and a good amount of setting up. But in order for the project to be finished, I imagine I would need another 1,000 lines of code, which I will put in there. And then you will see over several live sessions how we started off with nothing, and then we came to actually have a complete bot which is self-sufficient, automated, and can actually play against other players and defeat them. We still have some time to kill, so I'm just setting things up. No, that's my birthmark. If you're referring to the thing on my nose, on one side of it anyway. No, we did not start earlier, Harley. This is just a setup. Look on the screen. It says you did not miss anything. Just setting things up. Delays a few seconds for the stream, and the stream will begin at 6 o'clock. So no worries there. No need to be sorry about anything, really. It's kind of weird to see myself in the stream talking and no sound coming out. Well, if you do want to code, then you will need an IDE. I will show you how to set it up in the system, in the environment that I have here. And if you're in some other environment, we'll just ask a question. I'm sure we can work it out together. Which country do I live in? Bosnia. I think it's GMT +1. Nobody's watching Portugal versus Mexico. Oh, there's a football game tonight. I'm sorry, I don't watch football. It's not that I'm not a fan. I just don't understand a lot of things in regard to football. Maybe when there's a World Cup or something like that. Okay, here we have Windows 10 VirtualBox with Eclipse and JDK up and running. Why do you need a VirtualBox? Yeah, I was planning on starting at 6 o'clock, but I'll most likely start at 6:05 just to always give some buffer time for somebody who might be running late. Antonio, why do you need a VirtualBox? And Peanut 1012 2. No, that's not the reason why I chose Java. I simply chose Java because I like coding in Java. And it is a bit simpler to actually well, maybe not the syntax itself. It's simpler to me, but I don't know, I suppose somebody would say that C++ syntax is simpler to them. It's just a matter of taste and perspective, really. Peanut, you won't need actually Windows 10 for this. I'm doing the whole setup on Linux, but I never honestly tried to set this thing up on Windows. I'm not exactly sure how it's set up on Windows. The Java JDK and the Eclipse. That's pretty easy to set up, but there's a library which we're going to be using today. It's called Opencv. Look, guys, everything can work. Carry on. I learned it here, like in the city where I grew up. Everything can work. Pretty much any IDE should be functional. In fact, you can probably do the code in Notepad, but the thing is, you need to know how to set it up. Its setups vary from one environment to the other. There you go. It's a very well known library for computer vision. I don't know. I don't really have like any specific time frame. As long as like there are people asking questions, I'm willing to stay. Hopefully not till the morning, but I have a program planned in regard to the code that we're going to go over today. So we're going to, of course, if you're coming from Udemy or something like that, this is your chance to pose any questions that you want. You should be able to pose them every Sunday because we're just going to go ahead and continue on next Sunday, where we'll just continue on from the same code base and proceed onwards. And we're going to go like that one Sunday after another until we actually create this chess bot. Now, you might say, oh, okay, chess bots are a lot easier to make than something else. But really the principle is the same. There isn't that much difference to it. What you're really doing is trying to get some sort of an input from the game into the bot, and then bot needs to interpret it and react in accordance with the information gained. So that principle applies across the board for all the games, really. Okay, let me just pop the chat out so that I can see you all better, because usually when I talk, I look at a strange angle. Which language do you use? Java. So Java is always my language of choice generally, and then it allows me to plug pretty much anything in from any other programming language, so why not? I did not understand you, Mahmoud. It's web app pen testing. I do not understand the question. Antonio, you can just take the latest one. It's fine. Like the latest stable version will be fine. I don't think that there is that much difference in regard to what we're gonna do today. Which version do you pick? As long as you don't pick anything that's ancient. So I'm working through a batch course and you're doing a moment. Something similar. Self-taught. So if you're going through the courses already, you can Antonio, you can download it from GitHub if you wish as well, or the SourceForge. They have both places to download. Peanut, I'm self-taught. Yeah, sure, it can be done in C++. You can port the code that you see into C++, but I am not going to code this one in C++. Why? Just personal choice, really. Personal preferences. I mean, you can argue that one is better than the other, or that one is more portable than the other in terms of code base, but really just personal choice. No, PHP, God, no, the terrible syntax. No, PHP code is like the ugliest code to possibly look at, in my opinion. It's a very effective language, don't get me wrong. It's just that the code is so messy to look at, and I just generally hate looking at it. I can't bear it. It's just that. But hey, the code. I think that the code is portable to PHP. I'm not too sure about that. Depends what sort of calls can you make from PHP, because Opencv is a library which has plugins for Java, C++, and Python. But I'm not sure how would you use it from PHP. Hello, Neda. When you're launching your keylogger version 2. Well, we've added content to the keylogger course. I do believe that you can find it there with Arduino. But not the old Arduino, but the new Arduino where it's a lot faster with the USB soldered onto it. How many languages do you know? What sort of languages are you referring to? Like programming languages or like linguistics? Hello, Jack. Ola, I did not understand the question. Are you referring to the programming languages or are you referring to the like linguistics? Programming. Java mainly, then Bash, and C++. So those are my tools of choice, so to say. I have knowledge in regard to other programming languages, but I don't really have a tendency to use them as much. I primarily just read that code if I need something to find some sort of logic or something like that. You have a future plan for making ethical web application pen testing course. I don't generally focus on the web. That's not my, let's say, that's not my preferred field. I mainly focus on endpoint security, physical stuff, out of bound channels, something like that, whereby you can access the device, gain control over a particular device, and once you do that, the web is pretty easy because all those devices are inevitably accessing the web. So I mainly specialize in regard to the layers which are way below the web. Okay, JavaScript is the same thing when you say Java, right? No. JavaScript and Java are two completely different things. Like, they are very different in terms of syntax and the way one is compiled, the other one is interpreted and compiled. So there is a huge difference between JavaScript and Java, but you can't really compare them. There's no point in comparing them. There's no point in comparing JavaScript and Java because they serve two completely different purposes. So it would be like, I don't know, comparing a car to a donut. There's no comparison. There's no logical comparison that you can make. Yes, JavaScript is web-based, but it doesn't necessarily need to be web-based. It's a client-side interpreted language. So as long as you can get the client to load it, it can do pretty much everything. No, there is no which one is the donut. I can't. I just wanted to make a reference to like the lack of logic between in comparing the two. I didn't say that I don't like web app pen testing is not. I wouldn't say that that was a correct statement coming out from me. It's just that I prefer to go layers below, and then if I need something from the layers above, it is good to be acquainted and well versed so that you can utilize them as well. I swear to God, I shouldn't have made the comparison between a donut and a car. This is going in a completely wrong way. Uh, what is the use of the gamebot? So, Yash, we will talk about that very shortly. I will explain in details in regard to the gamebots. But a gamebot is basically when a computer plays the game for you. Will I show you some code? Absolutely. Like we will go ahead and code together if you want, or you can just sit back and take a look at the code. So even if you can't stay for the whole duration, the code will be available later on, as you can always rewind the stream. I'm just gonna go ahead and leave it on YouTube. Unless the stream is over 6 hours, then YouTube doesn't allow that. I don't think that it's gonna be 6 hours. So are you to say that JavaScript is more like a donut? Oh God. Also, I know it's a good copy. Yes, we will. Harley. So first of all, we're going to be discussing the security of applications. If you have a game, and I've been receiving a lot of requests to make like game hacking tutorials and stuff like that, and that is what I'm going to begin doing today. So we're not going to be dealing with web or remote access or something like that. The primary subject will be games and game bots. So how you will, I will start explaining how games are hacked, and I will talk primarily about the creation of bots, which again is a form of a hack because people, I restate, it's a form in loose terms. Because people on the other end are from the server side in terms of security are always trying to prevent you from doing that. Okay, so we will talk about security. Good one. Are you a gamer yourself, Ermin? I was. I did not study in Sarajevo, and I definitely did not study at ETF. Well, I have sent the announcement and I specified the subject, Harley, of the topic today that we're going to begin talking about. But again, it is cybersecurity if you're talking about the security of programs and the exploitation of the same programs. Simply due to popular demand, and it's fun to do. Does GameBot be used on popular games like Dota or something like that, or just simple games like chess and so on? Well, okay, so first of all, in order for you to be able to create anything that's going to be of any use to you in a Dota game or something like that, you need to start learning from the basics. So you need to start learning on a lot simpler examples, because if you just go and start messing around with Dota and to take a look at how it works, in my opinion, you're not going to get far, but it is possible. So we're going to begin with simpler stuff, and then we're going to progress over time to something more complex. Oh, guys, the chat is going like way too fast. I should probably add delays. Okay, how impressed are you with Randall hacking V8 engine written in C++ and making JavaScript? Okay, so anything written in C++ has very good performance, but it's a bit of a liability due to the overflows that can happen and due to the freedom that the C++ offers. So anytime somebody actually discovers such a hack or something like that is an impressive feat in and of its own, because I know how hard it is to get to something. Like, you have to devote a lot of time and research, and you have to mess around for like endless nights on end in order to figure it out. So I wouldn't say that I'm impressed with that particular hack, but I'm impressed by all of them in general because I've learned to appreciate them through my own efforts over time. Okay, I thought the common used language for game bots is no. Perhaps it is a common language that is used, but you want to make something that's custom. You want to make something that's advanced. You don't want to be recycling other people's things, and there are numerous disadvantages to that. I don't know. I don't like doing that. Maybe you can find a better solution, but I generally don't like doing that. I can't find Java and Visual Studio. What other IDE do you recommend? You can use Eclipse. I don't think that there is Java and Visual Studio. Just use Eclipse. I mean, it's free of charge. I can show you how to install it later on. What are your future courses? Well, I'm planning to do something with Android. So with Android and possibly some Linux courses as well. If anyone's interested in bots and securities, it was even discussed on DEF CON. Yeah, it was discussed on DEF CON, and I've watched his speech. It was amazing. I died laughing. Uh, brilliant work. Trying to set up Java plus Eclipse plus CVS and Windows 10. So yeah, making bots is hacking. Have you tried Eclipse or NetBeans? I would advise you to use Eclipse. I've used NetBeans before, but I'm really not that familiar with it. Although as far as I've seen, it's not that different from Eclipse at all. No, I use Firefox. Pretty confident with Firefox. I don't know. Every program can be. You can't actually prove that anything is secure. You can only prove that it's unsecure. Somebody said that. I can't remember who at this point in time. So in my opinion, Firefox is the best bet, but it's not above any vulnerabilities. We will code. I will use the Eclipse IDE, and JDK will be used there for Java Development Kit, and we will also be using Opencv library. Automation, yeah, you can, like this Opencv library that I will talk about now is greatly used for the basically the automation of stuff as it involves machine learning and computer vision, etc. Does artificial intelligence is the base of game bots? Uh, it can be. It doesn't necessarily need to be. If you're using machine learning, your bots are going to be exponentially better. Okay, what do you mean CVS instead of Git? Like, you mean GitHub or the library Git? Yeah, that's why I was confused by the question. This CVS is the library, like Open Computer Vision. No worries, no worries. What operating systems do you code in? Ermin, what text editor do you? I don't use Sublime. I am on Fedora, and I use Eclipse. And I pretty much do everything in Eclipse or Kwrite, one of those two. Can you make tutorials on Tails Linux? Why? Why? What is there to say about Tails Linux? Oh, it is much more complex. Do you plan to teach anything related to deep learning? I didn't make any plans as of yet, but we'll see how the bot thing progresses, and we can plug a lot of things in based on the popular demand. Okay, so it's 1813. Okay, let me just have a glass of water and then we'll begin. Well, whether you can use them or cannot use them is not really up to me to say. Whether it's technically doable, I would say yes, very much so. Those are actually the simplest bots to make. It's a lot more difficult to make a bot for like MMORPG than it is to make it for an online gambling game. I want to know what you think about Onion Scan and finding vulnerabilities in the Tor network, like exposing the server pages. Well, messing around with the Tor network is really. I mean, okay, there are two approaches. You can go around finding some sort of vulnerability, or you can simply have enough resources to own enough points along the line for you to actually catch people in your net, and then you can pretty much see whatever that they're doing. Okay, so let's devote some time to these questions, and then we're gonna go ahead and begin with the subject. Okay, so I want to know what do you think about. Okay, I read that, and very cool project and completely open source. Yeah, all Opencv is open source, so it's amazing, and all that I will be doing here today is also open source, so you can have a look and see the code. It's not hidden or anything like that. Okay. First of all, Milos, can you understand me? Because I cannot use our language here. Because it's a bad idea to contact me via mail or Udemy. As it's fine, it's okay as far as I'm concerned, but you're going to be waiting for a long time for an answer. That's why I'm holding these live sessions so that people can ask as many questions as they want. 4chan or Reddit? God, I don't really read those things that much. Maybe sometimes I just open them up and have a look. Okay, so anyway, either there's a lag or the questions have cooled down. Perfect. So we can begin. So yeah, Milos, it's perfect if you can understand me. So ask as many questions as you want during the live session, and if you want, you can also send an email. But it's a bit of a long wait because my inbox, it's like 160 unread mails, and that's like about every 2 days it's 160. So you can understand if I can't catch it all. And Udemy, it's like there are way too many questions there. So that is why I decided to actually hold free live sessions, free of any obligation to even subscribe, nonetheless pay for anything. So you can come here and ask as many questions as you want. They should be held every Sunday at the same time. I did a course with Arduino TNC. Can we use something different? Can we use something different for what? I do not. What is the purpose? I don't understand the question completely. Mixed tutor, if you can just rephrase the question, I'll be happy to help you out. You are my instructor at Udemy and I've enrolled in all your courses. Oh, thank you, Ishan. If you have any questions, feel free to pose them. But yes, use something different from Teensy, but use it for what? I don't understand that part. Can you use some other embedded devices? Yes, there are like a million of them. But if you can just tell me what is the purpose, then I can give you a more specific answer. Java. And no, mixed tutor, no, not really. All these devices. Yeah, but you still have to pay for those devices. No, not really. There were some regular USB sticks which could be reprogrammed, but there are like maybe 2 models in total which are not being produced anymore on which you can do this. But there is really little point in actually going around and acquiring those when you can just acquire Arduino and do whatever it is that you want with it. Can you? Okay. Yeah, so Arduino is Teensy actually. Teensy Arduino, in my opinion, is the best for this particular purpose. What is this live session about? Well, today we're going to go ahead and talk about gamebots. Sean saying, look on Udemy for free course. Can you please? No, he's not asking about the price of the course. He's asking, can he use something else other than Arduino, because you have to pay for Arduino. And I was aware of this fact before I actually embedded it into the course, but there wasn't much that I could do about it. I mean, because pretty much for all of these devices, you have to pay some sort of money as they need to be actually made. With these, we can make good bucks from freelancer. Yeah, Yeah, good bots. Good bots, unfortunately, do make a lot of money. Good, thank you for. What's your thoughts on what is the best path to become a pentester? I read somewhere. Admin course. Yeah, you can take a Linux admin course, but I would definitely not recommend that you go live anywhere for a Linux course unless it's Red Hat certified, or you can just go on YouTube. Like there are a lot of free Linux courses which are amazing. Also, Cisco and Juniper courses are nice, but only the certified ones. And really, you just need to be tinkering around with things, like creating programs and then messing with them. You need to be doing a lot of coding because without a good amount of coding, you're not going to get very far. So you need to have a solid coding knowledge. Desktop Eclipse. Okay, I was not talking about that, Ermin. Oh, okay. Sometimes I get confused. I'm sorry. Like thinking you're ethical. Of course, a lot of good content. Thank you. Hi. There's a great book which I was given by people programming. For example, by Matt Buckingham. Did not get a lot of help from. No, it doesn't. No, it saves money, but hey, I mean, the amount of time you would have to invest would be detrimental. Do you maybe have in mind to make a course with Microtech? No, I don't really. Does it include anything related to deep learning? This one today, what we're gonna do today, it's not gonna be about machine learning or deep learning. That we're gonna do at later stages when we actually get there, because we first need to actually figure out how to begin building a game bot, what it is, how it works, what are its concepts, what are the ways in which it can work, what are some realistic and unrealistic expectations. And once we actually get that working, once we actually get the bot to function, get the bot to read information from the game and feed data to the game as well, then we can start talking about machine learning in order to improve the gameplay of the bot. Because up to that point in time, there's very little logic in doing it because we didn't even take baby steps and we want to run. So we'll get to that. I was planning on doing it, but just not in the very beginning stages. I wanted to go simple, and then we can increase the complexity levels over time. There, sir, or I came to know that who launched a Java course. Please provide coupons. Yeah, there were coupons with the announcement, so you have coupons in the announcement email. Did you consider doing a pen testing live stream for questioning on ethical hacking and cybersecurity? You can ask any questions here now that you want in regard to cybersecurity. There is no obligation on your end to stick to the subject of the stream in regard to the questions. The stream is primarily here so that you can ask questions, and everything else is a bonus. So just to make the stream a bit more interesting so that we can actually do something productive other than just me answering questions. Well, the first game that I'm making a bot for will be chess, which will be the simplest thing, which I've identified as the simplest thing. And then we can move on to more complex 3D MMORPGs over time. We use your courses as background to make our own. No, not really. I don't really deal with the legal matters. I'd have to ask somebody else really for that. And your courses are amazing. Thank you. Okay, so Red Hat or Ubuntu, which is better for cybersecurity and for this game bot? It doesn't really matter in those two regards. There isn't much that you can do on Ubuntu that you cannot do on Red Hat and vice versa. It's, in my opinion, it's pretty much the same. It's just your own preference. Go to YouTube channel Cave of Programming. There you get a free Java course. It's awesome. I would recommend the new Boston, really. I like the way I like the way he teaches. What IDE do you prefer? Eclipse. Eclipse, really. That is my IDE of choice. I don't know why Linus uses it. Everybody has their own reasons. I personally use Fedora because it's great for development. Other prerequisites for be able to make this game bot. Well, you should have some basic Java knowledge, basic Java syntax knowledge, and some basic and a good grasp on basic programming concepts. However, if you're watching this live, you can ask as many questions as you want, so I can explain everything in detail. Red Hat is better. Why is Red Hat better than Ubuntu? And why would Ubuntu be better than Red Hat? By what? By what merit did you make this decision? They both have Linux kernels, and they both function for like everyday use. And they both function for development purposes as well. No, that's the New Boston. That's the New Boston. That's the YouTube channel name. And work with betting shop. Java is going to run on pretty much any Linux distribution out there, and it's going to run without any problems of whatsoever. I do not think that you will see any performance differences. Eclipse to follow along with your code, but I have never used it before. I am lost already. Don't worry, Peanut. Like, I'll just ask whatever is not clear, and we'll sort it out. And in regard to the actual reading, in regard to the actual vision of the screen, we're going to be using primarily the camera. So camera will look at the screen and will be able to identify objects on the screen, their positions, and based on that input, it's going to play. But later on, we will also deal with RAM reads. So in the final account of things, I do believe that we're going to have some sort of a hybrid form between computer vision and RAM reads. Whether Ubuntu is easier or not, it's just a matter of perspective. It's, as far as I'm concerned, Ubuntu is becoming unpopular. Yes, this is true due to their, I think, arrangement with Amazon or something where they share the data, but I don't think they really share the data. You actually have to click to allow that, etc. I don't know. I just prefer Fedora. I cannot say, I don't think it would be that accurate to say that Fedora is better than Ubuntu. It's better than Ubuntu for me. But whether it's better than Ubuntu for you, that's another question. Yeah, Bucky has a very nice channel. I generally like the way he speaks. A lot of people have asked me like, well, which videos would you recommend on YouTube? I generally tend to recommend Bucky's videos. I've never met him. I don't know the guy. I've just seen the videos on YouTube, so I liked him. Better to keep away a useless distro or it's pointless. He has a very popular web page. Yeah, he does. It'd be much easier to code in R. Let's go. You're 28 minutes late. Yes, I am. I'm sorry that it was 28 minutes, but a lot of questions have popped up and I had to go for it, like just to answer everybody's questions because that is the primary objective. Anyway, so let's go ahead. I'm just going to, you can still ask questions, but I'm going to go ahead and begin just explaining a few things. So let me just pop another kwrite and then we're going to get into the code. So this is a bit of a longer stream. We're going to need to go over a lot of things. So let me just read these things. I previously watched these videos. Why Java? Why not C language or Python? Personal preference. So that's just my personal preference. Why Java and why not C or Python? I can't really say that one is better than the other. I have heard Richard Stallman complained about Ubuntu a while back regarding... Yes, there were privacy issues there. How do I harden the link? I would advise you to basically just go and read the SC Linux ruling list and how to generate them. Explore Java course. Can you find a job as a self-taught pen tester and how I thought of going to the academy to get a certification? You don't need that certification, Milos. Trust me. Like, you really, really do not need it. If you want a certification, get a certification from Red Hat, from Cisco, from Juniper, from places such as those. There is no preference in regard to in regard to the programming languages used for pen testing. It's just your personal choice, really. Okay, so the first thing that we're going to talk about are, well, the intro will be bots. So let me just go ahead and shift the keyboard to my lap where I can actually have a look at, where I can actually hold it. Okay, so what is a bot? So that's going to be the first question of today. What is a bot? And a bot is basically a piece of software that is automated and that can, no, not the piece of software that's automated. It's a piece of software that can automate the tasks that a player would do in game. So do we know what are some of the popular uses for bots in MMORPGs? Gold grinding, item farming, I don't know, stuff like that. Something that would be very tedious for a player to do, like leveling and stuff like that. Bots tend to do that. And why do they do that? Well, because people use bots to level up characters and then they sell them off and make a good profit on it. Also, people tend to use bots to basically play online gambling games, card-based games. And they use a combination of machine learning and statistical probability to get more wins than losses. So they make money there as well. For programmer, I wanted to know, when it comes to VPA2 hacking, how would you... You're not going to get it with a brute force attack. Forget about it. You would need a ridiculous amount of computational power in order to do that. I'm just going to go ahead and use Java. I'm not going to use C, and I'm not going to use Python. C later on we will incorporate with a few methods for better RAM reads. Yes, I will show you. Don't worry. If you've watched my courses on Udemy, you know that I don't actually skip on things at all. I am not on Windows 10, and I don't skip on like stuff at all. So don't worry about it. I will explain things when we get to that point. So that's what a bot is, and that's what bots can actually do. So they tend to automate player tasks for some purpose of either beating the game, or because a player is lazy, or because they just want to make a buck on it. Okay, on the VPA2 hacking thing, is there a program similar to Crunch that utilizes GPU power? It doesn't matter. You would need like 10,000 GTX 1080s in order to have a chance of breaking a long VPA2 password. If they ran continuously for 10 years, you would have maybe like 10% chance to actually crack it within the first 10 years, if you had 1,000 of them. Guys, you cannot brute VPA2 passwords. It is not the brightest of ideas. It is only shown as a concept that it can be done, and that is usually used in combination when you already have a piece of information or you already have an idea of how the password might look like. That is when the brute forcing can actually become effective. If you have no idea what the password might actually look like, brute forcing is completely pointless. Because if you utilize the entire computational power of Google servers, public Google servers, you wouldn't actually be able to even have a 10% chance in 10 years of cracking a good VPA2 password. You can use Reaver, but Reaver is way outdated, and most routers come with locked VPAs anyway. Anyway, coming back to the subject at hand. So, what sort of bots do you know that exist? So, guys, I'm pretty sure that you've heard about a lot of bots in games. There are WoW bots, there are CS:GO bots, and we're going to be making a chess bot today, etc. How to bypass the login page of Open Wi-Fi? Well, I generally use like what? Opencv, Windows, Java. No, I'll show you. I'll show you how to set things up. What happened to my nose? That's my birth scar. Okay, so the aimbot, it's not an actual bot. That's a cheat, because you're not using a RAM read. You're not using a RAM read. You're using a RAM write. Well, you are using a RAM read, but you're using a RAM write in conjunction with it. So look, you have RAM read and you have RAM write. RAM read is one thing, but if you write to the RAM, then you are basically cheating in the game itself. So you're changing the stats and you're doing a lot of stuff there. Depends how the aimbot actually works. Depends how somebody writes it. But in general, if it uses like a RAM read, it's a problem. As I said, in regard to VPA2, if you don't have an idea of what the password might be, it's a waste of time to actually do any sort of brute force attack on it. So you have CS:GO bots, which aim and move, and you have WoW bots, which aim and move and play backgrounds and play battlegrounds, and are quite effective with it. They can even go into dungeons, they can clear the dungeons, they can go into the raids, they can clear the raids. You can have a raid of 20 bots and they can clear a raid. They can kill a raid boss. If programmed sufficiently well, they can do it. And if they're programmed sufficiently well, as I said, they're pretty much undetectable, so you can beat anyone at their own game. Now, we come to the more important side of things, where we actually tend to see how do these bots actually work? How do they tend to work? If anybody's curious, the code is here, so I got a lot of code stacked up here that we're going to be messing around with. But don't worry, I will show you how to write it from scratch, and I will show you how to set things up on Linux. So yeah, I'm not going to skip on anything. I just want to introduce you to the whole story before we actually go on anywhere. The authenticate DDoS Wi-Fi to catch an encrypted handshake. So where do you go from there? You don't go anywhere from there, Peanut. It's an urban myth that people post these things on YouTube and then they get a lot of views from people hoping that they're going to show them something new when in fact they're not. If you don't have an idea of what the password might be, brute force attack is completely pointless. How do I feel about people torrenting my courses? Well, pretty bad, but hey, what can you do about it, really? Can't really do much about it, so no need to bust my head over it. Thank you, Nada, for the smiley with the hearts. Everybody, that's my girlfriend. She's tuning into the live session. Can write a handshake and then do a dictionary attack. Okay. Anyway, how do bots work? So basically, you have two known ways in which they can work. Your progress is as fast as a snail. You have to consider, Super Shark, that there are a lot of people here that don't understand a lot of things which I need to explain, and if I skip them, a lot of people won't actually understand a lot of things. Torrent, yes, is a very good way to get viruses, because you never know what somebody actually packs into the file that you download and you run on your own machine. That's one of the biggest problems with the torrent. What are you building today? We're building a game bot. So first I need to explain a few things about the game bots, and then we'll actually go into writing a game bot. So how do bots work? How does a bot know what is on the screen? Well, it uses RAM read. So if it I don't run Windows. So it uses RAM reads. It reads directly from RAM, and it manages to extract information from RAM, and in such a way it actually acquires knowledge in regard to the game. It acquires knowledge such as position, coordinates, mobs that are around you, NPCs, terrain, etc. Now, even if somebody is downloading my course on the torrents, I wouldn't want them to get infected with a virus or anything like that. But seriously, guys, to download things from the torrents is like super risky. Several reasons. The first reason is that you can get infected and somebody can encrypt your entire file system and then ask for ransom. Somebody can put a keylogger on your machine. And on top of that, in a lot of countries in the Western world, you get a financial fine. But forget about the financial fine. These two are primary points of concern. So if you get a virus, if you get a ransomware, all your files are gone, and that's a problem. For me, anyway. No, reading RAM does not give a load of random data. It's not very tricky to make sense of it. What's very tricky is to find the right addresses to read from. So it's not very tricky to actually... oops, let me just enlarge this. Okay, so it's not very tricky to read the information itself. What is tricky is to actually it's tricky to get the exact addresses to use then, to read from. So if you can get the right addresses to read from, reading from RAM is not a problem as long as you have sufficient privileges on the system where you're executing the program. So that is a very important concept for bots. You need to have sufficient privileges to read from RAM. I'm going to use Java with a few external libraries as well. So if you are able to read from RAM, and if you know where to read from, making sense of what you read is not that big of a problem in comparison to those two things. I'm going to use Java. We understand useless without any info, but how could you investigate a device in the network to search for info to help with the password? Not much that you can really do about it. That's why I don't really focus on such things. I focus on endpoint security, and if I manage to make a breakthrough there, I own not only that device, but any other device to which that device has access to, and that spreads pretty fast. Cheat Engine and other debuggers allow reading from RAM. It's pretty common in game hacking. Yes, Cheat Engine is so much more than just for cheating, right? It's capable of finding the base addresses, RAM, reads, getting the offsets, etc. So it is fantastic. Okay, so the RAM write, that is another thing that I wanted to talk about. The RAM read is how a bot actually obtains information in regard to the game. But there is another way in which it can obtain information in regard to the game, and that is vision. Okay, it can acquire information through vision. So we have eyes as human beings, and what does a computer have that can substitute the eyes? Well, it has cameras, which capture light, capture imagery, and then it can perform recognition and figure out what it is exactly that it is looking at. And that's what we're going to be doing today. Giving the computer vision, and after we give it vision, we're going to give it the ability to understand what it is that it is seeing. I'm not running Windows. I don't think I've ran Windows in like 7 years or something like that. I'm running Fedora Linux, so just Linux. Any Linux should do. Yeah, it is Fedora. But if you don't like Fedora, you can use something else, although I do recommend Fedora. RAM writes. So that is how a bot itself, that is one of the ways in which a bot can actually interact with the machine. So it can do RAM writes, and RAM writes are the basis for all the cheating software out there that you have seen. No, we're going to use the library, for crying out loud. We're not going to write it from scratch. That would take like a lot of time for one person to do. So there are libraries which can be used for this, And there are ways in which you can actually train your computer to actually recognize patterns in images. Each time we run a game, the address changes the values. Yes, I will show you how to do that, but I won't do that today. This is just the introduction. We need to get to that point in time where you actually understand what that address is, what that value is, and how you can actually use it. And I'm going to go ahead and grab a glass of water because my throat is getting like ridiculously dry. Okay, I'll be back in like 2 minutes. Less than that, well, 30 seconds. And then we're going to continue. I think you're freaking these questions. Maybe I'm freaking out a little bit, but not too much. But don't worry. That's the purpose of the live session, so that everybody can ask questions and as many questions as they wish. So because I cannot manage to answer everybody in person by just writing the answers. Anyway, coming back to the RAM writes. So the RAM write is that concept is the basis for all the cheating that goes on in games. So pretty much any cheating that goes on in games is related to RAM writes. If you've heard about map hacks, like in RPG games or something like that, that is done through RAM reads. So the ability that is done through RAM reads, and then if you want to like increase your health, or if you want to increase, or if you want to aim better or something like that, you can use the RAM writes, and in such a way you can alter the information in the game. No, I'm sorry, I cannot go to the code yet. I can show you the code if you wish. It's right in front of me. You can take a screenshot of it and then start coding on your own, but I can't really go with it because I need to explain a lot of things. A lot of people will not have any understanding of what I'm talking about. Not only the people who are tuned in live now, but all the people that are going to watch it later. During a live session, I do believe that you will be able to understand if you just ask enough questions and write questions. Okay, so anyway, another input that a bot has is the Rect keyboard input by an external device. So you can have like an Arduino device or something like that, or you can have software input, a sort of software input which goes into the game. And it says, okay, now press forward arrow, backward arrow, left, right, etc. Yes, we will code. Yes, we will code. Don't worry. Okay, you know what? Let's forget about it. Let's just skip on to the code, and I can talk about these things as we code. How about that? Okay, let me just move this away because I'm not going to need it anymore. Disregard. And that's my Eclipse, but I'm going to pop up a virtual machine where nothing is set up, so I can show you how you can actually install all the necessary things. Okay, so this is one of my VMs, and okay, so here we're gonna perform an Opencv setup. Right, so the first thing that we need to do, so this setup is for Linux. If you're on Windows, it should be fairly similar. It shouldn't be that much different. So basically, you just type in Opencv. Can you minimize your cam? Oh, yeah, sure. Okay, better now? Is it better now? Can you see it? I'll take that as a yes. So, Opencv, right? You just type in Opencv into your favorite search engine. You pop up Firefox or any other browser that you're using. Do you need to have a good conf to have live session? I'm guessing configuration. Yes, I guess you need a good configuration. Okay, so you just type in Opencv into whatever search engine that you're using in whatever browser that you are using. You go over to their website, and should be around here somewhere. There we go. So GitHub is down at the bottom where I'm selecting with my mouse, and you just go ahead and click on GitHub. And then you have a lot of these things. So third party, extra, contrib, and then you have Opencv here. And then in Opencv, you just click on clone or download, and then you just click on download zip. You can also clone it, but I'm just going to go ahead and download it. So there's also save file option. So you click OK, it downloads. I don't know how long. It shouldn't take too long. The file is not really that large. Maybe due to the streaming, it's a little bit slowed down. Okay, so what we're doing now is basically just prep work for the bot itself, for the code base itself, because we need to plug in some external libraries. And in order for us to do that, we need to download them and set them up and compile and stuff like that. So that's one of the first things that we need to do before we even start with the code itself. Okay, so it's actually completed. That's great. Let's go ahead and open it. This link needs to be opened. Choose. Where is it? Just give me a second. This one is on GNOME. I'm kind of used to using Fedora. I'm kind of used to using KDE. So was it Dolphin? It's a little bit buggy, the VM. Hold on a second. Why won't it start it? Huh. I hate GNOME. Or this is not GNOME. This should be Firefox. This should be KDE. Never really knew with the VMs. Open the containing folder. Why? God. Go to download link, remove from history. Download page, copy download link. Hold on. Let me just pass the mouse. You don't need to do this, obviously. I know, but the archive manager should actually be installed. I shouldn't have to actually install it. That's the point of it. Where is it? So A3 finish. It's rebooting. Hold on. Well, actually, I can't reboot it. I need to force off it. Do I have the mouse? Device A3G3, 3G3, okay. KVM. That's the software. Well, they decided to change this with the updates. Oh man. But why did you have to break now during the live session? Oh man. Any Linux distro should work on it. Like that's more than enough for any Linux distribution. Just make sure not to install any heavy desktop environments. Okay, forget about it. I'll just do it on my main machine. I don't know, any micro SD is pretty much good enough. Anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and do this from my physical machine since my VM decided to break at this particular instance during the live session. So Opencv. Oh yeah, I need to, yeah. So you just go onto the Opencv website and you download their library and then you unzip it. I could have unzipped it via the terminal, but you know, it should have the archiver installed. If it's not installed, there's something wrong with it. So you go down and you select GitHub. And then you go onto Opencv. And you just go ahead and click on download the zip file. And there you go. It says open with Arc. It should always be there. I mean, Arc is installed by default on Fedora. Try pacman as command. It's not on Fedora. It's DNF. Okay, so you select open with Arc. Click on OK, and okay, now it's downloading. Just wait for it to download. It shouldn't take too long. Okay, so as soon as it's done downloading, we can go ahead and extract it, and then we need to get into actual compiling of it. And the compiling, it's gonna take a while. But you just learn how to deal with it over time. You know, no matter what you do, it happens. Okay, so the arc popped. It just didn't pop on this window. It didn't pop on this screen. It popped on the other screen. And so you get all these things here. Don't click on any of them. Just go ahead and click extract and extract to. And then select the place where you would like it to be extracted to. So I don't know, I'm gonna go on to home. And what do I got? Like documents. and I'm going to extract it here. Sure, why not? I'm going to go home and I'm going to select documents, and that's where I'm going to extract it. So extracting files. All files finished extraction. Okay, let me just open up a terminal. And most of the work now we're going to do from the terminal itself. We're not going to be moving away from it. Let me just pin another one. Does it not want to pin? Okay, these two do not want to play together. Doesn't matter. I'm just gonna place them one above the other, and we're gonna, let me just minimize this so that it doesn't harm, so that you can see it regardless of the camera. Okay. So now let's go ahead and do this. You need to install a few packages. So in order for you to install a few packages, you first need to type in dnf install -y gcc space gcc -c gtk plus -devil lib jpeg -devil and lib tiff -devil. And then we're going to need to type in jasper -devil lib bng -devil z lib -devil and cmake. Press enter. Okay, so mine are already installed. If you are lazy, here's something for you. So here you can have the command and then just you can copy paste it. If you get errors, or if you don't have, if it says that it's just missing information, that it cannot find what it is that it needs, well, then you have option number 2. And, well, not option number 2, you need to install another prerequisite. You need to go to RPM Fusion. This is on Fedora. So you go onto the RPM Fusion website, rpmfusion.org, and it opens it up. Enable RPM Fusion on your system. On Windows, you just download a file. That's it. Actually, yeah, I don't know. You need to compile it. I don't know how you would do it on Windows. You need to compile it, or there is a Windows package available without the. It's pretty much the same thing on any Linux. This is just for Fedora. If you're missing this repo, so you just select it. Not the entire thing. Don't select the entire thing. So this is non-free, so don't select that one. Just select what I've selected now, and then press Control-C. Bring up your terminal where you are root, and then press Control-Shift-V. Paste this in, and then press Enter. I already have it, so I'm not gonna do it twice over. I pasted the command. So here's the command to enable RPM Fusion. If you are on a Fedora, you can do this. If you're not, you can't use this last command. But it doesn't matter. If you're in some other distribution, you should be able to do it without the RPM Fusion. Okay, let's switch this. I do not know about Windows. I really haven't seen the... Well, just use app-get. So app-get. Here, let me have a look at what packages you need for Debian. But I'm pretty sure it's very easy to set these things up on if you just type in how to install Opencv on a Debian or on an Ubuntu or something like that, you're going to get a lot of search results, and it's going to tell you what you need to install, where you need to install it. etc. The procedure is the same, pretty much. All you are doing is using a different command and a different package name. So instead of, let's say, DNF, you would use apt-get or just apt or pacman or something like that. So that's the only difference. There are no other differences really. And the names of the packages might be slightly different. So if you just type it in, how to set up Opencv, and then if you type in your operating system name, there are 10 trillion links that you can follow through for the installation procedure. But for those of you who are using an RPM-based distro, not just Fedora, but an RPM-based distro, you can follow through what I am doing as well. If you fail to set it up by the time I set it up, we'll go back to that and we'll see how we do that. You do need Opencv. Yeah, Antonio, you managed to set it up. I mean, it's a pretty simple thing. Yes, it's an automated thing, so it's going to be there after the stream. Anyway, the next command that you need to type in, it's going to be this. So you need to install Eigen3 Devil. So here you go. We'll just type in Opencv, how to install, and then your operating system name. It's going to give you 10,000 links on how to do it, and they're all pretty much the same. They list the package names as pre-requirements, and they list the compilation procedure. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to need to install will be this. And here you can have the command as well. Oh, wow, actually, I don't have some of these things installed, which is kind of strange. So it's installing them one by one. Key thing to realize here is that Opencv might work without all of these pre-requirements being met. And then we're going to need Ant for Java. Before we actually, well, you can actually do it like no problems. So just type in dnf install Ant. It's already installed here, so nothing to do. And after we've installed Ant, we're going to go ahead and type this in. So we're going to use the pip manager. So pip install upgrade pip. So we're going to bring it up to the latest version, and then we're going to mess around with it. So requirement is already met here because I've already done this. And then we shall need install numpy. Okay, there are the two commands listed here, so all the requirements are actually satisfied. Perfect. Now that we have all of this done, we can go ahead and compile Opencv. Okay, so go to the folder where you have actually extracted it. Mine is home chronic documents. Actually, not as root. I'm sorry. Do it as a regular user. Why don't you use Python? You're a pen tester. Then at least preserve Python. Not my cup of tea. Just that. It doesn't matter. You can use whatever programming language you want. And I don't think that there are any problems with the preservation of Python. It's a language whose usage is spreading and it's increasing its user basis. Chronic documents. Opencv master, that's what we're looking for. So let me just do this. -i cv, and there you go. So I have it. Opencv master. I've already been messing around with this before. I had some projects there. So go into the Opencv master, do ll, okay, confirm that you are there. Perfect. And if you can't follow me at any time because it might be too fast or something like that, please do let me know. And here we're going to type in mkdir build. Make sure to do this as a regular user. Yeah, Python's going to last forever. It's not going to go anytime soon, so don't worry about it. So mk, oops, rm-rf build. I made a wrong directory, sorry. So mkdir build. You can change the name of the directory if you want, but make sure that your changes are consistent. Is not recognized by app. Do I have to use that package? Just use different package names. Okay, which operating system are you using? Ubuntu or Peanut? What are you using? Ubuntu or okay, Tutor? What are you using? Which operating system? Like which one? Okay, Peanut, Ubuntu, and Tutor. Which one are you using? Mixed Tutor. Which OS are you using? Like, is it Ubuntu as well? Here, I'll Google it for you. Ah, come on. The browser is a bit uncooperative today. Might be due to the large amount of cache that I've assigned it. Let me just go ahead and try clear that out. You're using Fedora as I'm using, so what's the error that you're getting? Did you put in the RPM Fusion RPM repos? Mixtutor, did you install the Fusion RPM repos? My browser is really slow today for some strange reason. I messed something up. Come on. God. Okay, so I found a guide for you. Okay. Yeah, I know, Warren. I know. It's back. It should be back. Is it back? Okay, I will. Just let me know if the stream is back. So, is the So if somebody could just confirm, is the stream back or not? That would be excellent. Okay, tell you what, guys. If you fail to do something and if you fail to follow through, I will stay with you after the stream and we can talk and I can help you out. But during the stream, I'm just going to go ahead and do this so that everybody else can follow through. If you fail to do it, don't worry about it. No big deal. I'll stay with you after the stream and I'll help you out in any way that I can. Okay? But for now, we're just going to go ahead and do this. Okay, so now what we need to do is actually compile the Opencv. So we need to go into the cd build folder, which we just made. And in this cd build folder, we just need to type in c make -d build underscore shared underscore libs equals off space dash dash slash. Press enter and let it run. So it might run for a while. For how long exactly, I don't know. It shouldn't be too long, hopefully. Yeah, there's a bit of a delay, so when I asked several times, I didn't actually realize that there was a delay, so I kept on asking, believing that there was no stream. Oh my god, yes, it will support everything. Like, you can have the crappiest laptop ever, the crappiest equipment ever. Linux is backward compatible, I think, to the first PC ever to have been released, so don't worry about that. Anyway, this seems to have finished. So I have JVM installed. In case it fails, there is one more thing that you need to do, and that's just type in install Eclipse. Oops, I need to be root to do this. You type in DNF install Eclipse, and then you repeat the procedure here. So just repeat it, and that should be it. Sure thing. Here you go. So cmake space dash build underscore shared underscore libs equals off space dot dot slash. So this is gonna compile it. And now we need to type in make. And make tends to take a while, as you can see in percentages here. It is coming along, but it's not coming along with the fastest of speeds. Okay, so you didn't catch the path. Well, let me go ahead and help you out with that. So I go cd slash home slash chronic slash documents slash opencv master. So that's my path where I've extracted this. I enter that folder. I do ll to verify that everything is in there. Then I type in mkdir build to create a folder. And then I cd into build and run the cmake command. Are there no compiled releases for Linux? I mean, there are releases for Windows, but not RPM. I don't know. I guess you can find some in the repos, but I tend to compile these from the source as they keep on changing a lot. So, and it's an external library for Eclipse. So I just figured, what the heck, I'm just going to go ahead and compile it from the source and use it from there. I think there are in the repositories. I do believe I've checked once, but I installed it from the repositories and certain things didn't tend to work out. So instead of just like attempting to fix that, I figured, hey, I'm just going to go ahead and try compiling it from the source and see if that fixes the problem. So that fixed the problem, and then I went with the actual installation from the source, basically compiling from the source and then installing it. So that's the reason I'm using it from the, that's the reason why I'm compiling it from the source. Because I had some problems with the binary versions, and I was like, okay, this is not gonna work. Etiam update. Hey, tutor, don't worry about it. Like, there's no need to be angry or frustrated or anything like that. As I said, I will stay with whoever needs help after the live session, and I will do my very best to help you out in any way that I can. Okay, so if you can't manage to do it now, it's okay. You didn't lose anything. You're not like losing $1 million here. Especially because I'll stay with you later. You don't have to pay anything. It doesn't cost you anything, and you can ask me, hey, I'm stuck at this. I'm stuck at this step. I'm stuck at this step. I can't do this. I can't do that, and I will work with you until that is fixed. How does that sound? As I said, no need. Like, just don't worry about it. It will be solved somehow. I don't know, but I'll stay with you afterwards. Whoever wants to stay, I'll stay with you, and we'll try to solve whatever problems you have. I can't guarantee that I will solve them. I'm not omnipotent, but I will try. How long will the showcase last? Not the whole live, of course. What do you mean by showcase? Like when we actually compile the program itself and run it? That's not going to be long. That's going to be like maybe 10, 15 minutes. But the actual coding itself is going to take a while longer. Okay, so this is coming along. It's not the fastest, but it's gonna get there. So it's 34%. It's gonna get to 100% eventually, and then we'll be able to plug things in. Meanwhile, while this is happening, let me go ahead and. Okay, is there an issue to do the make as root? No, there are no issues to do the make as root, but there is no reason why you should do it as root. There are no access requirements for root by this library, for root privileges by this library. So if there's a rule of thumb in Linux, if you don't have to do it with root, or if you don't have to do it with privileges, do not do it with privileges. That's the rule of thumb, basically. And if you see a file that shouldn't have root privileges, but it is requesting them, but there's no justifiable reason why it's requesting them, then you probably shouldn't run that either. So while this is happening, let me just go ahead and briefly mention what is the point of us actually making our own bot as opposed to just downloading a bot from the net and having that work with a game. So first of all, the advantages of the existing bots is that you have a finished product, it's easy to use, and it's a massive time saver. It's a huge time saver. The disadvantages are that there's a greater detection probability. Somebody's going to figure out that you're using because everybody else is using the same thing. And no way of knowing what else is packaged into that file that you're downloading from God knows where. And they most likely cost money, a good amount of money. So that's a bummer. While custom bots, on the other hand, that you make for yourselves are probably not as good, but even though they're not as good, they're far harder to detect because nobody else is using them. There are no known patterns on those bots that you made. So they're much harder to detect. It's a fantastic learning experience, and you have far more customizing options there. One of the disadvantage, and another advantage would be the cool factor. Hey, I made my own bot, right? So the disadvantages of this would be that you are basically you will consume a large amount of time to actually do this. It's a ton load of work, and it's a nerve-wracking procedure. Oh, I am glad to be back. How did you start programming? What would you recommend for newcomers? I would recommend that you try out different programming languages, see what you like, and then stick with it. Before you choose any programming language, figure out what it is that you would like to create, what it is that you would like to do in that field. Would you like to build websites or applications for mobile, embedded devices, desktops? Would you like to go into networking, etc.? And once you decide on that, you take a look at the available spectrum of available programming languages for that particular purpose, and then you try those out and decide which one to use and go in that direction. Frankly, I don't know anything about Linux, so please tell me what are the things I need to install. Please list it. If you cannot follow the stream in a sense that you can code along with me, that's fine. I'll stay after the stream and I will explain and I will offer help to anybody who needs it. This is not meant to be run on Windows. Guys, it's fine. As I said, I'll stay with you. I'll stay with you afterwards. I just can't go back and forth helping each individual person while the group is following a certain lecture. So I'm sorry for that, but after the session, I'll stay with you and I'll help you out as much as I can. Even if you can't code, it doesn't matter. Just stick with it. Have a look at what is being done. Try to understand the parts that you can. Ask questions, and afterwards you can ask more questions, and I'll help you out there as well. And it's going to work, so don't worry about it too much. Not a big deal. So the thing that we're compiling now is Opencv. Opencv is an open computer vision library that has plugins for Java, Python, and C++. With Opencv, you can recognize objects both in 3D and 2D. You can feed it camera streams, you can feed it screen recording streams, etc. And it is able to recognize faces, objects. It can recognize anything you want, really. It can recognize in-game characters. So the languages that are supported, as I said, are Java, C++, and Python. But I'm pretty sure it can be used in other programming languages as well. That there is a way of some sorts. So our chessbot that let me just do this. Okay, so our chessbot that we're gonna be building today is a simplistic idea, and it's a fairly simplistic project. And why are we doing it? So that we can get the basics done right, so that we know how to create complex bots for MMORPGs. Without the basics, you're not gonna get anywhere. You can take a look at a lot of code on GitHub out there, and you're not going to be able to make heads or tails out of it without having a solid code base. So, did you try IntelliJ for Java? I like it a lot more than Eclipse, and it's a Czech product, so we help European companies. I didn't try IntelliJ. I've been using Eclipse for the greater portion of my programming life, but I wouldn't have anything against actually trying it out. Is IntelliJ open source? How much disassembling do you find yourself doing for bot programming? Recommend for Linux? Not a lot of disassembling itself, as much as I go hunting for offsets. So not the base addresses, but for offsets. The base address can be found, but I go hunting for offsets which tell me where is what located. If it's not open source ID, I'm not using it. There's no reason why somebody should use closed source application over an open source application. Open source is always better. You have contributions from all around the world. Everybody can see the code, and you know what's actually in the code, so that you're not being made fool out of by anybody else who might package into that whatever it is that they want. Hello, Milos, as well. I'm sorry I can't use our language here because nobody will be able to understand me. Yes, but Android Studio is designed for the development on Android, and you don't really have good open source alternatives to it. No, it doesn't guarantee that it's correct, but the chances that it's gonna be faulty, the file of such a small size, it's very small. It's highly unlikely that you will have a faulty file. But yes, Antonio, in essence, you are correct. I am pretty stupid. You are very correct. What else are we going to do to configure? Nothing. Once the setup, once the compilation is done, we'll just plug it into the Eclipse, and that's it. So that's going to be all the configuration that we're going to need, and then we can get into the code. So we don't have a lot of configuration left after this. It's like basically the minimum. After update, no package and available. You do not have... try typing in dnf install Eclipse first, or yum install Eclipse, and then try to install end. Windows sucks, right? Well, I don't know. It sucks for someone. It doesn't suck for somebody else. Oh, you're king. Well, I couldn't remember to clone it as opposed to just downloading the zip, but I didn't really give it that much thought because it's such a small file. When you're downloading like 5 gigabytes, then there is a good chance that something is gonna go off. I don't know, Tutor. I really don't know. I can stay with you after the live session is over and I can help you out, but I cannot help you out right now. While this is happening and while this is happening. Yeah, I have to pay for money. Well, thank you. Thank you, Miloš, a lot for that. I wouldn't... Yeah. It sucks. Yeah, it kind of sucks that you have to pay money for it. that's a really bad thing. There should really be some sort of monetary thing. The IntelliJ Community Edition can be downloaded at no cost and is open for contributions by community members. The product is built on top of IntelliJ platform, fully open source. Okay, but is the IDE itself open source? So is there any closed source there at all in the package itself? Windows 10 Pro Unlimited license from my company, though. Well, hey, as I said, Windows 10, it just sucks for somebody, and it doesn't suck for somebody else. It's just and as Carlos said, it's just another operating system. I mean, I wouldn't say that there's nothing wrong with it, but okay, it's just another operating system. Oh, then okay, if it's open source, then I'm fine with it. But if it's not, there's no reason to use a closed source over open source. Okay, it is at 99%. Through all the security aspects. Well, that would take a while. I would just start with the network administration, like the Cisco courses. They themselves actually teach the vulnerabilities in their systems, and that's going to give you a good concept in that regard only. JetBrains have a open source project, and for enterprises, they're going on that way. They have closed, and for enterprises, they have. Well, if you're like in high school, I would just recommend begin with the development things and understanding the architecture of the machines. That's gonna help you out a lot. Okay, so we got this done. Let's go ahead and clear the screen. So the next thing that we need to do? Well, not a lot, really. You just need to start Eclipse. So here it is. I'm just going to go ahead and start Eclipse. And yeah, Udemy is great for penetration testing, and there's a great community, etc. But I've seen some courses out there that are outright selling nonsense, honestly. But I'm not going to name anyone or do anything like that. Okay, so you go into Windows in Eclipse, Preferences, and then you go down to Java build path and libraries. So Java build path, user libraries. And I already have Opencv added here, and the jar file, etc. But in case that I didn't, you could just click on new, name it like this, Opencv, and click on OK. And then you would click on Opencv, and then you would click on Add External Jars. Yes, I am self-taught. And you go to the place where we've actually compiled this. So you go to the Opencv master, and you go into build. Then you go into bin, and there you go. You have a jar, and you just double-click on the jar, and that's it. And the next thing that you need to do is the native library. So just basically double click on it and click on external folder. You go again to the place where Opencv master is. You go into the build and you find lib, and then you just click on OK. And then you click on OK here as well, and there you go. Voila. You have them included. So Opencv jar is there, 320, and you have the native library here as well. And then you just basically click on OK. The last one I made on penetration testing is definitely not outdated, so you can't have that one. The previous one you will find simpler to follow, to understand basic concepts, but in the new one I've dealt with like far more advanced concepts, so to say. Excellent. So we have done this, and we're just going to go ahead and click on. So once we have done this in Windows, we're just going to go ahead and right click. So right click here, new Java project. Project name will be live session bot. You can name yours differently. There's no big deal. And then you click on next. Actually, no need on next. You could have just clicked on finish, and that's it. Voila. Too much control. Yeah, working with Windows, yeah, it does take away a lot of control. You have a hard time finding hacking courses newer than 2016, 2017. Yeah. But Jakub, it's not just about a course being dated. As I said, I've seen a lot of people out there, not only on Udemy, but on YouTube as well. And forgive the expression, but just outright selling a lot of crap. So a lot of nonsensical things. It's just, a lot of it is just clickbaits, basically. They don't offer realistic, meaningful things that you can actually use or anything like that. They just showcase something to you and you're like, oh, wow, this can actually happen. But no, not really. It can't. Anyway, you go into this project that you've just made. You click on it, and under source, you right click on this. And then you go ahead and click on package. So you just add some sort of a package. So I'm going to go ahead and call this package bot. Okay, so that's just going to be the name of the package. You can have yours different. You can have yours, you can write yours in a different way. Okay, so finish, and then right click on this, go into new, go into class, and let's go ahead and call our new class. So we can call it, I don't know, main class, because this is where our main method will be. So I'm just going to go ahead and call this one main class, and this is going to include the public static void main. So the main method will be there, and I'm just going to go ahead and click finish. Okay, this is a very nasty habit what I have with these curly brackets. And oops, oh sorry, I'm blocking the chat, so let me just move the chat onto a different screen. And let me bring up my code notes here. If you're wondering why I have the code notes for my own code, it's because I'm talking at the same time and writing and holding a live session, so it'd be kind of difficult to just make the code up again and again. Okay, move the screen so I can see you all now. Okay, so the next thing that we're going to do is actually start coding. So after a while, we need to actually start coding. So you go onto Live Stream Bot and you right click on it and you go into properties and you go into it's not Java compiler, it's let me just go ahead and check it where it actually was, because you only plug this in like once per project and that's it. Well, actually, maybe we won't need it. If we do need it, I'll come back to it then. Okay, so in order for us to test whether our setup actually works or not, we have to go ahead and do this. So static. Well, we don't need this actually to test it out. We need this to prevent an error from happening. Load library core dot no default proposals. Native library name. Okay. So this is gonna constant local enumeration. This is not gonna work without this. So need to go into properties, Java build path, and is it in libraries? So no, source, projects, libraries, add jars, add variable, add an external jar, add a library, user library, and there we go. So you will have Opencv here. I'm just gonna pick the one that I compiled earlier before this. So just select this one, Opencv, click on finish, apply, okay. And then it's going to give you import org.opencv.core, import it. And let's just see if it works. So type in math test equals new math. Well, not without the semicolon. Okay, so it's missing another import. So there we go. So save this, run it. Okay, so if it runs, if there are no errors of whatsoever, then you are good to go. If you get certain errors, well, then you didn't set something up right. Yeah, after the CMake, you just do the make command. Yeah, after the CMake, you just do make. That's it. Nothing to it really. Okay, so if you get a certain flag here, if you get something red and it's saying like that there is a permission problem or something like that, well, in that case, you can do this. So DNF install exec stack, and this should be installed already. And then go in as a regular user, be in the build and type in exec stack -c, and you're gonna go into lib, and you're gonna have where is it? Okay, so there we go. So lib, where is it? God. Lib opencv java.so and just press enter, and that should solve the problem. So that's one problem that I've encountered, but hey. Finish now, it's making, I'm coming. Can you show us me again in speed in Eclipse? Well, you just, no, just rewind the session. You can do it. Just rewind the session. And here, actually, no, here. I have a solution for you. Here's a segment from my notes, and you can follow that through. So go into Windows, Preferences, Java Build Path, User Libraries, New, etc. So that should help you out. Anyway, so if this goes without problems, perfect. Our thing has worked out. If you're uncertain of that, you can just type in another system.out.println and just gonna type in here it works. I'm gonna save this and then I'm gonna run it. And there we go, it works. So everything went through just fine. There weren't any problems. The classes were included. Perfect. Okay, so now what we will need to do, well, we're gonna need to go ahead and start capturing from a device. So we're gonna need to capture from a camera or someplace like that. And I really wanted to segment that piece of the code, so we're not gonna put that into the main class. We're gonna put that into another class. We're just gonna go ahead and new class, and we're gonna call this class capture. Okay, and it's gonna be public static void main. I'm gonna go ahead and click on finish. Oh god, no, I don't need public static void main, but doesn't matter. I'm just gonna go ahead and delete it. Getting a little bit confused here, but no big deal. And here I will need my frames and stuff like that. So where this is going to be shown, etc. So I'm gonna go ahead and type in primate j frame. So I'm creating a frame from which I'm actually going to be, where I'm actually going to be projecting the image to. This is going to be private j label, label, and I'm gonna name this one image label. Okay, so it's giving me red things because I did not create proper imports, but no big deal. Eclipse is always there to help out. Okay. Okay, so let's go ahead and start building this. So now we'll need to actually use this frame, and we'll need to build around it. So what we're gonna do is type in protected void init GUI. So you can use some other naming conventions if you want. If not, no big deal. So frame equals new j frame camera input example. Okay. Frame dot set. This is just creating a new frame with the title camera. So with the title camera input example, that's it. So no big deal. So set default close operation, and we're gonna go ahead and type in j frame dot exit on close. So this is gonna mean that when we click on the X sign of the window, that this is gonna close and stop. Okay, so again, frame dot set size, it's going to be 500, 500. That's going to be the size of our window. And we're going to use image label equals new j label frame dot add image label frame dot set visible to true. So we're basically telling it to set the visibility of the window to true so that it's actually visible to everybody else, so that we can actually see it on the screen. Okay, so now we're going to go ahead and type in protected void run main loop. So this is going to be our main looping place where the screen is going to be, where the screen image is going to be processed. Sorry, my throat is getting a little bit dry. Oh wow, this has been going on for 2 hours. No wonder. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and, oh, oops, my chat is gone. Let's restore it. Okay, never mind. It's a bit slow to adapt. Anyway, let's go ahead and continue. So, image processor, image processor equals new image processor. So this is going to create an image show object, which we're going to need. And this is not imported, so create class. Okay, yeah. So just go ahead and click on create image processor class because, well, we're going to need another class for this to work. So just go ahead and click on finish. Okay, so save this for now. And in the main loop, we're going to call this we're going to be calling this class in order for other things to actually be able to work. But we're going to get to that point in time. So next up, we're going to need a mat object. That's something that contains the image, be it a video or just a JPEG or whatever. It's something that can be fed to the Opencv library where things can be recognized. Antonio, what does not exist? Okay, so mat web cam mat image equals new mat, and we're gonna need one temporary holder for the images, so image temp image, and we're gonna go ahead and create a video capture object and give it a device index. Before we do, we just need to do an import here. Okay, there we go. And the mat needs to be imported. Yeah, you need to create the class image processor. So when you just hover over image processor down below, it's going to give you an option to actually create a class. And you just click on it and it creates that class for you. And then it's gonna be fine because we're gonna need that class. That's one of our classes which we're gonna make. Okay, so let me just readjust this. Okay. Okay, so next up, it's gonna be video capture because we're gonna need to capture certain things. So video capture equals new video capture, and here we're going to type in 0, and this is a very important line of code. Okay, so what you are specifying with this line of code here, number 33, is the device from which you wish to grab the input from. So you need to have some sort of a camera. I guess all your laptops have a web-based cam or something like that. I only have a camera which I'm using for the live stream, so I'm probably gonna cut myself out of the stream. I think you've been looking at, I think you're pretty much sick and tired of my face. So I'm gonna kill it and kill the camera stream, not my face. And then I'm gonna show you how it actually looks like when you utilize it. But anyway, this number is not the number that specifies which device you wish to use, which device should your program use as a camera. So if you have like 2-3 cameras plugged in, I don't think that there's a way of knowing in which order they are placed in. So it goes from 0 onwards. So just try them out and see which one it picks up. I only have one camera, so 0 will always work. Anyway, capture dot set video IO, video input and output dot cap underscore prop underscore frame underscore width, okay, comma 500. And we don't need this thing at the end. So we're just setting some parameters for our capture process. And this is basically setting the width of the actual capture. Okay, so the width of the capture. So the width of the window is 500, 500, and the width of the capture will also be 500. This is basically the resolution. Height. So like if you wanted to occupy the whole screen, if your screen was like HD, it would be 1920 by 1080. That's it. And that's all we need to do there. And now we need to go down and check if the capture has actually been initialized. So we type in if capture dot is opened. Perfect. If it's true, go ahead and proceed into the while loop. Oh man, that was okay. Thank you, Peanut, for that. Thank you. Okay, so we go into the while loop and then we type in true here because we need an infinite loop. Why do we need an infinite loop? Because we want our camera to infinitely record until at least we ourselves decide to terminate the program and not by any iteration or anything like that. So now we're going to type in capture.read, and we need to pass the matte image to it, and the matte image is the webcam matte image. You can give it any arbitrary names, really. So now we're taking the camera input and we're going to put it into this webcam matte image. And that's where basically whatever the camera captures, it will be stored there. So it will be stored into this variable, okay? That's conveniently named webcam matte image. Okay, you can name it tra-la-la-la if you want. It doesn't really matter. Just make sure to change the name up here as well. First birthday, thanks in advance. I got some problems. Yeah, Mixed Tutor, just wait till the end of the stream and try to understand as much as you can. And later on, everybody who failed, we can hang around and we'll figure out what's wrong. I just can't do it right now because I need to finish this. And after I finish this, I can start another stream and then we can work all your problems out. Okay, made a mistake here. Okay, there we go. So now we have the capture here, and we're going to need a few more mattes. Okay, so we're going to need matte lines equals new matte. So we're going to need a lot. You're going to need 3 more containers here. Matte gray equals new matte. Matte edges equals new matte. And then we're going to go ahead and type in int low threshold equals 50. So these are going to be low and high thresholds to be passed to the canny algorithm. Okay. The canny algorithm is the algorithm which basically grabs the edges from an image and it draws them out. So I'll show you how that actually looks like and how it actually works. And we're gonna type in int ratio equals 3. And now we need to go and check whether we've actually captured anything into this. So if we have captured anything into it, we need to process it. So if web command image dot empty. So if this is not empty, notice the exclamation mark at the beginning, negating the outcome, negating the return value of this method. So if it is not empty, go ahead and do the following. img proc dot cvt color, and it's going to be webcam math image, and it's going to be, we're going to pass gray. So gray is this math here. So we're going to pass those two there. And then we're going to type in img proc dot color bgr to gray. Okay, so RGB is the standardized scheme for colors. For some strange reason in Opencv it's BGR, so blue, green, and red, and usually it's RGB, red, green, blue. But hey, what does math class accomplish? Okay, so math is a container. It is a container to contain any sort of a JPEG, any sort of an AVI, MP4 file, whatever. So it contains any sort of video file or just static file or just static images, any sort of video images or static images. So that's where we actually are able to put them in. So we're putting all our images into math types. So math types are containers. Does that help you out? Okay, so, oops. Oh man. Come on. What's now? Okay, there we go. So img proc dot cvt. No, not cvt. Sorry, that's what we done. Gaussian blur. Know what it does? It's kind of difficult to pronounce. Gray, and we'll type in gray, and we'll type in new size. It's going to be like 3, space 3. It's going to be comma, and this last argument will be a 0. Oh god, I misspelled this. Gray and gray. Perfect. img proc. img proc is it's one of the classes from which we're pulling these methods. So we're pulling the CVT color, and we're pulling the Gaussian blur, etc. So look, let me go ahead and put that in another way. So we have a package bot, right? And we have these classes inside of them. So if we wanted to access any of these classes, we could basically type in bot.capture, and then from the capture we would maybe type in .init GUI. So we would just call a method from a class. Here, let me demonstrate that to you. We could type in capture dot init GUI. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're using the capture class and we're calling the method init GUI, which is within the capture class. It's right here. So what are we doing here? We're using the imgproc class and we're calling the Gaussian blur method from that class. That's it. Why are we doing that? Because we need to perform certain processing on the image in order for us to be able to actually recognize certain patterns. Does it help? And you need to import size from Opencv. So just click on it, no big deal. imgproc.kenny gray, edges, low threshold, and this one will be low threshold times ratio. Okay, so there we go. Let's go ahead and continue. So low threshold times ratio. What happens here? So this one up here, it converts it to grayscale. It converts the image to grayscale. This one here blurs the image to remove all unnecessary noise. And this one here detects all the edges along the image. So it just detects all the edges. Okay. And that's it for now. So the arguments of this one are as follows. So this one detects detect lines. You just basically feed it two math types, and then it takes from one math type, it finds whatever it needs based on the parameters here, and then it stores it into a different math type called the edges. Why is it the edges? Because Canny method, basically what it does is find the edges, and that's it. Okay, so the next up, it's img proc dot, and this is a very important one, hue lines p. So you need hue lines p, parabolic lines. There's a lot of math involved here. And you pass on edges. You pass on all the edges that you have found, and you output that into lines, the math type which we've defined before, and you type in 1 here. And for the angle, you type in math dot pi divided by 180, comma, and then you have here 50, 110. Okay, so why does reading memory from a virtual machine helps? It's not being detected by anti-bots. You can't know that data is accessed when it is done from a separate OS. No, you see, the thing is, when you have like an antivirus, like companies tend to package up with their games anti-cheat engines, okay, which you install on your computer along with installing the game without actually you realizing it. It's written somewhere in the license agreement, but hey, who reads that, right? And if you're running some sort of a software which reads there from RAM or is doing something suspicious, there is a good chance that that will detect it. But if you do it from a host machine and not from that particular virtual machine where the game is running, that anti-cheat program software has zero chance of detecting your activities on a software layer anyway, because it cannot go outside of the VM, but you can go into the VM. Okay, so what are all of these arguments here? So first of all, we have edges, which we're feeding into this method, and it's detecting lines there, and then it's feeding that into this math type here. So this is edges as the input, lines is the output. RHO here, God. Wait, let me just fix this for a sec. so I don't have to retype all of it. There we go. So this is the one here. This is the resolution of the parameter in pixels. So we use 1 pixel, right? Our screens are divided onto single pixels, so we use 1. And we have math pi divided by 180. This is theta. This is the resolution in radians. So math.pi divided by 180 is 1 single degree. And then you have a threshold for detection, which is 50 intersections of the parabolic method, mathematical function that the Hugh lines performs on it. You don't really need to understand to the fullest extent how that works. And then you have the minimum length, so the minimum number of points that can form a line, which is 100 in our case. You can put some other number if you wish. I found 100 to be a good arbitrary number. And the maximum line gap between 2 points to be considered on the same line. So I just placed 10 pixels. Yeah, it's the Cold Fusion 7. That's clever, but it's really difficult to actually do. You know, it's not easy to actually read the RAM of a virtual machine from a host in a meaningful way. So that's a bit difficult there. I have to go now, but I appreciate the time you have taken to this content. I will watch again and see what I have missed. Yes, it will, Peanut, be on Sunday. I will organize the live stream a little bit differently next time. I honestly didn't expect this many people to show up. But I will leave the initial gap. I will send an announcement on Udemy, and I will leave an initial time gap for the live session where it will be questions only. And questions of any kind and sort. And once those questions of any kind and sort are done, we're going to switch to code and we're going to do only code. So people can tune in when they like. But yes, the live stream will continue on next week, Sunday, same time. I managed. Perfect. I'm happy for you, Mixed Tutor. If you need help, I will stay here after the session, so, I can help you out if you need me. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what on earth is going on here. Let's have some sort of output for us so that we can see what is going on. And I'm going to do that by typing img codex.imWrite. And I'm going to go ahead and type in /home/ your path will be different, of course, because, hey, no path is the same here, right? You just select some path where you would like to save it. Chronic /work space /opencv /bin test.png. So I'm going to save it as PNG, and I'm going to take it from edges. So not from Hugh lines, I'm going to take it from edges. And this needs to be imported as well. So this class, we need it. Why don't you make a Discord server? It's great to create communities. Maybe if I have the time, I'll see what I can do about that. Okay, Antonio, Hugh lines P, it detects the lines in an image. So if you have a chessboard, it's going to detect all the lines, horizontal and vertical. So you're going to have a drawn out chessboard. It is also able to detect any sort of lines anywhere, as you will shortly see. Okay, so this is going to basically create a write to a file, and we'll go over these things one more time when the time comes to actually compile this program, because we can't really compile it yet. I mean, we can, but we wouldn't get a meaningful output, really. Okay, so let me just save this just in case and continue. So do you understand now, Antonio, what Hugh lines P does? So it detects the lines in an image. It detects straight lines anywhere on any image. Anywhere. So you can point your camera in any direction, and if there are straight lines there, it's going to detect them. Now, what kind of straight lines would you like to be detected? Well, that you adjust with the parameters in regard to the threshold and stuff like that. Okay, second parameter for I am right is your face. No, that's not my face. That can be anything. You can point your camera in any direction, including the face, and it's gonna draw it out in the contours only. So you're only gonna see the edges of it. But the edges are enough for you to be able to figure out what sort of an image it is. And then you add color and stuff like that. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on with the code. So for int I equals 0, I is less than lines dot rows. Okay, so it's a container, it has rows. I plus plus. And then we're gonna type in double val equals lines dot get I, 0, try, and now we need to draw a line basically onto the image. My face is covering the code? How's my face covering the code? I can see the stream. It made it even smaller now, but I'm sorry if it covered it. Did you manage to catch everything? img proc, you'll see the result will be awesome. So line, and here we're gonna type in webcam mat image new point val 0, and it's going to be val 1. Okay, so new point val 2, and this is going to be val 3. So we need 4 points to draw 2 lines, right? Well, actually, 1 line. We need 4 points to draw. We need 4 coordinates for 2 points to draw 1 line. So this is going to be 2, and it's going to be val, and it's going to be 3. Okay, and then we need a comma at the end. We're gonna go like this. It's going to be new scalar. So this is the color of the lines, and we're gonna define our color as 0, 0, 255. So they're gonna be red. And we're gonna type in 2. 2 is this is where you specify the thickness of the lines. Okay, so let's save it and see what on earth is the problem. Let me just go ahead and check this out. So webcam mat image, new point, import point. Okay, so that's we need the opencv.core. And I don't really need the second parentheses here. So, comma, new point. And then it's going to be val 2. Wait. Let me just go ahead and do it like this because I'm going to waste a lot of time trying to find a problem here. Why? Why won't you work? Aha. Okay. Catch. Exception. E. The print stack trace. Okay, there we go. Now it works. So just forgot about the exception there. Okay, so we don't have a lot to go in this class. So we go outside of the for loop. We're still inside of the if statement, mind that. DMP image equals image processor to, okay, we're gonna create these things. So we'll need to go back and create this. So to buffered image, because this is not gonna exist. Webcam math image. Okay. Okay, so this method is not going to exist. We need to actually go ahead and create it. So let's go to the class that we've created. So image processor, so here. And now we need to actually populate this class. You know, it's not going to happen in and of itself. So public image to buffered image math matrix. We don't have a lot to go, but just need to write another maybe like 20-30 lines of code and that's it. Int type equals buffered image dot type byte underscore gray. Okay, so if the matrix has more than one channel, basically we need to set the type to RGB color model, and we need to set the type of the image to grayscale. Okay, so those are two processing things. To go deeply into what they actually are will take an eternity of time. Channels one, but this is like a standardized method for basically converting a math to buffered image, so you can find this on 10 billion places online. Are you watching, like, Peanut, just a funny question. Are you like watching this via the 3G, 4G, something like that, via the data plan, or? Because if you are, this is going to be like quite a costly thing to watch. Buffered image dot type 3 byte BGR. Okay, so that's something that's specific to Opencv. It's going to be BGR instead of RGB. Set the buffer size. So int buffer size equals matrix dot channels times matrix dot colons times matrix dot rows. Okay, so we're just setting the buffer size, the maximum buffer size, so all the channels and all the columns and all the rows multiplied, you get it. So sort of like calculating the volume of something, calculating the volume of a cube. Well, I'm not sure that, yeah. Make sure not to like go overboard with it, because you're gonna have to pay for it, Peanut. If you like go overboard, they're gonna charge you for it. Okay, so next up it's byte, and we're gonna do this. Buffer equals new byte buffer size. Okay, now we need to get all the pixels. Matrix dot get 0,0, buffer. Okay. Matrix dot get. Matrix cannot be resolved, my mistake. Okay, no problems. But matrix has to be here. It has to be defined here as a parameter that is passed to the method itself. Okay, so next up, we need to create a buffered image object and give it width, height, and image type. So buffered image equals new buffered image matrix dot calls comma matrix dot rows comma type. Okay, final byte. Final byte. Target pixels equals data buffered byte. Okay, image dot get raster, and so basically this accesses the pixel array directly, and this will return red, green, and blue values for each pixel. So that's what we're doing here. Get data buffer dot get data, and we're gonna end it with that. So get data buffer, get data buffer. We need another parentheses here. And we have a problem. Okay, let's see where the problem lies. An extra parentheses here. Change to data buffer. No. Wait. Data buffer byte. Data buffer. Aha. I'm just misspelling something. Okay, import should be solved now. And this should be an array. I'm a genius. Oh my god. The fatigue is getting to me slowly because we are in the 3rd hour, if I'm not mistaken, but okay. And that's it. So after that, we just need to copy the array from the specified source array and beginning at a specified position to the specified position of the destination array. Okay, so that's not too hard to do. So system dot array copy buffer comma 0 comma target pixels comma 0 comma buffer dot length. Perfect. Okay, so that should be it. Turn image. And we needed one more import there. So it should be fine and perfect. Let's go ahead and save this. Capture, save this as well. And let's go ahead and continue coding here. So there isn't much left here, and you can see that toBuffered image is now recognized very well here. Okay, so image processor. Now we need image icon equals new image icon and temp image captured video. Okay, perfect. So we just need to import this. There we go. And now that that's done, we need image label dot set icon image icon. There we go. Frame dot pack. So this is going to pack everything into the size of the frame. Setting the icon and basically setting the size of the frame. No, it's not like rocket science there. else system dot out dot println could not open capture. Okay, so this line again refers to the condition here. So if it's empty, then the capture could actually not be opened. And I am going to go ahead and kill my own webcam, so you won't be able to see me anymore, but you will still be able to actually see the code. And you will see a projection on the screen as well. So now I'm going to go ahead and run the main class. Okay, it works. What happened here? Well, we didn't actually make any calls in the main class. We didn't actually do any calls. So we need to do calls and then it's going to work. Okay, so first thing to do is to delete these two and type in capture. And I'm going to name this one C equals new capture. And it's going to be C dot init GUI C dot run main loop. Save, delete the unneeded import at the moment, and then go ahead and run this. And this is what you're going to get. So this is the output. So I'm just going to wait for the stream to catch up and to see whether you can actually see the lines that are being drawn. Okay, you see how it's detecting lines? Like, no problems. It can see all the lines. And now I am going to go ahead and start a chess game. Okay, so here we go. Can you see the detection? Okay, I'm like, this is a really bad angle. This is a much better angle. So just gonna wait. Yeah, there we go. So now it's detecting all of the lines and you can redraw the chessboard. No problems. Sorry. I'm sorry if I covered the code. Just here's the game. It's GNOME chess. Any chess will do. You don't even need to have a chess game. You can just have a physical board in your hands and you can point the camera to the physical board and it's going to get the lines there. So let me just enlarge this by a little bit because this seems a bit too small. So let's just put 8 by 8 And let's put it here. The initial size of this is 8 by 8. Save it. Save it, and let's rerun it so that you can see it a bit better. There you go. So you can be running a... You don't need a chess game on your computer. You can have a chess game in your hands, a physical chess board. The detection will be the same. So it's still going to detect all the lines, no problems. Now, let me go ahead and close this and scroll down a bit here. And you see this file here, this line of code? Well, let's go to this place. Let's go and get there and see what is located there. So cd, voila, there's test PNG. So I don't know if I have anything to actually. I should have something to view it with. And in the file manager, if I just go to that path, and if I double click on this, this is what the computer sees in regard to the edges. I'm sorry if I'm covering up the code, but I need to show this. So this is what the computer sees. This is the vision of the computer, of the chessboard's edges. You can see clearly that it sees all the figures and all the lines, well, almost all the lines, but that really depends from one frame to the next. And based on this, it can redraw the board. It can have the coordinates of the figures, etc. Now, next time around, what we're going to do is go for the board drawing, figure detect. Well, that's gonna be left for the next Sunday and the next Sunday, because I just can't anymore. I mean, I've been streaming live for almost 3 hours now. It doesn't matter, Antonio. Any straight lines anywhere. It doesn't matter if it's like Windows minefield, or if you pointed anywhere, if you point your camera anywhere in the real world, wherever you point it, it is completely irrelevant. It should be able to detect lines. What do you think the most valuable computer language for programming? It really depends what it is that you want to do, what it is that you want to accomplish. Each language is fit for a purpose. Personal preference. Tackling, understanding the basic logic is the most valuable, not the language itself. Yes, you are correct. Basically, Z null X, you are correct. Well, you can really use anything for that. Any programming language, it can be used in that regard. So I personally like to use Java because it's portable across platforms and it is able to integrate pretty much anything from C++. It's able to perform native calls to C++. So if I need low-level access, I can always do that. Otherwise, it's fantastic. It really doesn't matter, Mitro. You can use pretty much any programming language out there. You can use Python. Python's not bad. You can use Java. You can use C++. Can't it be used as source, a part of monitor? Yes, Antonio, yes. Anything can be a source. A monitor can be a source. A camera can be a source. Anything really that outputs some sort of an image to the GPU. Anything can be a source. So, Antonio, you can use anything as a source. Although camera is the most practical in my opinion, because you just point it anywhere. So why do you need to record a monitor? Why do you need to use a monitor as an input if you can use a camera that you point towards a monitor? Why? You just point it towards the monitor and that's it. End of story. Okay, so that would be the code for today. I hope to see you all next time around, where we're going to play around with the figures, coordinates of the figures, where we're going to play around with the chess logic, playing, etc. So as I said, I've been streaming for 3 hours now, and I really can't go on because my throat is getting pretty dry. But we'll continue around next time, and you can again ask as many questions as you wish. But we're going to have a different structuring the next time around. Well, in that case, if you want them to run on all platforms, then you need Java. Because, yeah, you write and compile once with Java. You don't need to recompile for every platform. If you have a C++, you need to recompile and port the code for every single platform out there. Programming languages do not have such things by default. Those are finished programs. Antonio, your camera doesn't work, or? Yeah, you can use a monitor as an input, but I need to look into that to see how exactly it's done. I don't think it's something terribly difficult. Yeah, sure, I can post the finished code on GitHub, no problems. So you'll be able to find it on GitHub if you want. I'll just later on or during the day or tomorrow, I'll just add a link in the description of the video, and that's gonna lead. Yeah, sure, Antonio, I can publish the source. So either tonight, well, probably not tonight. Tomorrow I can publish it, and you can have a look at it on GitHub. How does that sound? Okay, so just one last point before I wrap this up. You can point this anywhere. You see, it's gonna detect. It's gonna detect images. So all the edges are going to be detected. You see, even this edge here, it's being detected. Even this one up here. So everything that is a line will be detected. Simple as that. You see, everything. It's very simplistic. So even my door, that's like an ancient closet over there. The board, it should detect the board. Yep, there we go. So you see, it actually detects all the lines. Like, no problems. And again, if I just swing it back to the chessboard, it's going to continue on detecting them. Remember, you need to hold the camera rather still. So you can move the camera, but at a point in time where you want to detect something, you should stabilize it at least a little bit. Creator 69. But Mixtutor, I will leave the link, just not tonight. I really can't, but I'll go tomorrow and I'll leave it. The next course that I'll be making on Udemy will most likely be Android. So we're going to be making some Android apps. And that's going to be a fun and interesting thing to do because there are a lot more mobile phones out there than there are computers. So then there are PCs, that is. And they're a lot more vulnerable to the vectors of attack, to various vectors of attack. So yeah, I'll be doing things with Android next up. I think I'll start actually making it this week or the next week, and then it's going to take me a while to actually make it. But in meantime, we'll have these live sessions where you can pose your questions, and I'll be happy to answer them. Okay, now, if somebody's having difficulties, I will stick around for another 5 minutes, so until 2040, another 5 minutes. I was about to say the time, but then I realized that everybody's in a different time zone. So yeah, something like that. Antonio, let me have a look. I think I've actually seen it. Let me have a look. Yeah, screen capture with Opencv. So that would be a keyword search. But my Firefox has slowed down significantly because I need to reset the computer or something. The concept should be the same as with the camera. I mean, I think that you just need to change the device from which you're picking the signal up. Okay, Antonio, I'm just looking for the screen capture, and I know that I've seen it before. I think you have solutions on GitHub, if I'm not mistaken. So because my browser is really bugging. I would look it up for you, but it's really bugging. I can make it the subject of our next session and like show you how to actually capture the screen because, like I said, my browser is like really buggy at the moment for some strange reason. I would need to reset the computer. Probably because I have so much stuff running at the moment, it's ridiculous. Thanks for streaming today. I can tell things in terms of perspective if we've covered a lot. Thank you. Thank you. Maybe some network testing or something like that. Yeah, network testing in a sense of NFC because there's a lot of popularity with unfortunately, with the identity thefts via the NFC on your credit cards. So I might make some like tutorials there and show things there just to raise the awareness of a problem so that you wouldn't get scammed at an airport somewhere or something like that. Anyway, as I said, I can stay around for another 5 minutes, and if nobody asks me for any help, I'm gonna go. If you do ask me, I'll stay for longer, and I'll try to help you out with the setup and everything as much as I can. Otherwise, we're just gonna see each other hopefully next Sunday. I will do my very best to be there. Mixed tutor, it's very difficult to do that during a live session. I mean, to demonstrate something in a live session, that's okay, that's fine. That can be done. But to actually like create everything in a live session, that's horrible because it takes forever and you need to explain every step of the way live there on screen and people find it difficult to follow. So a demo during live session, sure, why not? Actual creation, I'm not too sure about it, but I might give it a shot. Yeah, I might see something. What can be done with the credit cards? How are the attacks achieved, etc. In order to show you all and to raise awareness, basically, so that people wouldn't get scammed for like just not being cautious enough. Antonio, like I've searched this before. The browser is buggy now. I'll look it up for you as well, but it's a really simple solution. I think you just need to change the input device or something like that. I know because I've tried it before, and then I realized, oh wait, but the camera is a better solution, so why not use a camera, because I can just point a camera anywhere. No way. I I am a loyal Firefox user. I think that the end of the world will come sooner than me actually switching over to Chrome from Firefox. Next time around, we'll do figure recognition, so it'll be amazing. Hopefully, we'll do figure recognition. So you'll see how the computer actually sees all the figures on the board and how it recognizes them and how it determines their positions, stuff like that. So that's going to be fun. And then after we've moved past away these basics, we can go on to building like more complex things. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and bid you all farewell. Since nobody asked me to stay around for longer, I'm going to depart. And I wish you a load of luck. I hope that you've enjoyed the session. And I hope that I'll see you around next time. And that you know that you can rely on me to pose any questions you want. Maybe you should go back to your wife seriously, Peanut. Like I don't want to be a cause of any problems, okay? I know how it can be. Go ahead. How to DOS an IP address? Well, friend, you just need a lot of bandwidth. You need more bandwidth than somebody else has. And that's it, you can DOS them. As long as you have more bandwidth than what you're DOSing, it can be DOSed. Yeah, sure. You can point it to the real board and it monitors your opponent moves and your moves and monitors your opponent moves and tells you what to play, and then you play it and then it sees that move as well. Okay, Antonio, have a look at this link. And here you're gonna find like how to take a screenshot, and then you can put that into the buffered image, and that can be like your input instead of a video camera. But you will need to adapt the code a little bit. So you can DOS. It is possible technically to DOS anyone as long as you have more bandwidth than they do. So that's a pretty simple answer. So I came back. If you have like those questions that you talked about, go ahead and ask them. Otherwise, I gotta run. Like, I'm not sure if it's the delay.